Good evening and welcome to the City Council Board of Adjustments and Appeals for Monday, September 9th, 2024, 5 p.m. Call of order. Would you please do a roll call?
Chairperson Begachnik,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Petrangelo,
Here.
Commissioner Carholios,
Here.
It'll also be known that Pat Green, Tina Glad, Greg Brzezinski are also in attendance tonight. Approval of the minutes. We have no minutes to approve, so we're going to table that one to the next meeting in the future. Tina, would that possibly be able to do on September 25th or not?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're at step 3, acceptance of the agenda for recording purposes, no additions, deletions, or changes of any.
I'll move the motion. I'll move the agenda.
So I have a motion and a second.
Right.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 4, new business. Convene a public hearing scheduled for this time to consider a variance request for Bonnie and Dan Wick at 2517 6th Avenue East, Hibbing, Minnesota, 55746 to vary their side yard setback from 5 feet to 2 feet for the construction of a 24 by 22 foot detached garage in the R2 1 to 4 family residential district in the city code of ordinances on the subject property of 2517 6th Avenue East, Hibbing, Minnesota, 55746. Staff report.
The applicant is requesting a variance to the side yard setback of 5 feet to a 2-foot setback on one side property line to the south. The reason is the applicant has a 37-foot wide lot and is proposing a 24-foot wide garage and still have room to the side of the garage for one parking space and enough yard space to maneuver around in that parking space. It appears that the hardship is the actual width of the lot and still have room for a 2-stall garage with some yard space on one side. The applicants are in the audience, Chair, and I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. You had no conditions?
Not at this time.
Can I have the applicant please step forward, state your name and address for the record?
Hi, I'm Bonnie Wick at 2517 6th Avenue East, Hibbing, Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Dan Wick, same address, 2517 6th Avenue East.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I've got some questions for you right off the bat. I went and seen the property. Understand how, are you building a whole new garage or just putting an addition on?
No.
We'll do-
The current garage is deteriorating and falling apart, so
So
we
you're
want to
gonna build
replace
a
it.
whole new
Yep.
garage, okay? And you obviously want that extra, footage, it's gonna be longer
Yes.
than the original garage.
Yes.
Now, who owns that white fence? Is that your guys' fence?
Ours, yes.
Okay. A second question is, it's gonna be a 2-stall, like what's there right now then?
Correct.
Okay, right, but it's gonna be longer. And then, I see you brought in dirt to make another pad there, is that what you're doing? So did you bring in dirt, or, it looks like somebody's been driving on that one side.
Yes,
Yeah, did you add dirt to make that, or was that always there?
that was previously there.
Okay,
We did build it up to station the garage a little bit because we were getting so much water into the yard.
Yeah.
So we did build it up with some class 5 and dirt.
Okay.
Just recently, we did have it dug up again because we had a gas line moved.
okay. The second thing is that, right now, you're right on your neighbors, you're close. I mean,
Yeah.
right now, you're less than 2 feet probably right there. It's gotta be, it can't be more than 2 feet. Cause you only got that little section about maybe this big when it comes and then you go to your garage way.
Correct.
And I did notice this, that you did have eaves there, but they're full. I mean, they're full of grass or something in there, they didn't. So if you're going to, if we approve this, I would make a condition that you have to have eaves on that garage, and that it would flow down
Gutters?
towards
Gutters?
the gutters, excuse me, I'm sorry, gutters. I'm sorry, gutters. I'd want gutters on that garage.
Sure.
No question about, and that they would flow, in other words, because it looks like there's a lot of, I mean, I got out of the car and I could see them up there. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to see. And I think it's a deterrent to your neighbor that if it's coming off, it's because he's got a little spot back there, I noticed, you know.
Yep.
We gotta be good neighbors for everybody around here, of course. And I'm not saying you're not good neighbors, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that. But, no, on the other side, where you have this pad, how far do you go over there? I mean, are you that close that you couldn't move over? Or why do you have to have it on this side? Because of the way it's,
Our
will you have your
neighbors-
cement there, or what, for the garage already? Is your new garage, your old garage, is there a slab? Is on a slab?
Yes, and it's broken
That
up.
ain't go inside the garage.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna put a new one anyhow, when you build this new one, or not?
Our garage sits lower than the alley.
Yeah, I know that, I see that.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
they're all,
washed out.
yeah, that whole place there is like that, I noticed that,
Yeah.
yeah. So, you want a two-stall garage and you want that pad, I mean, you have 3 cars, is that the reason why, or, I mean, I'm not trying to be nosy about it, you got a boat or something you're putting in, or what's the deal?
No, we have 5 kids total. Yeah.
So you gotta have room for all the kids' toys, is that what you're saying?
Well,
For his, it's actually, our
Yeah.
plan is just to have an oversized one-stall garage,
Yeah.
but to have more space in the
I
garage
mean,
for
I mean, I
storage.
understand it about kids, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, I'm not, you know, it just, because I know how tight you are on that one side, and then it's kind of hard to tell with your neighbor on that other side, I don't know where your property line.
We are kind of parking on part of their property. They've been very good with us. So,
Oh.
but I know for future reasons, we may not always have that. So that's kind of why we want to make sure we still can maintain one parking spot. Right now, we hold 2, but once again, that's because we are kind of approaching onto our neighbors.
Yeah, so if
Thing.
somebody or that other house gets sold or something, you know, okay. Yeah, I couldn't tell, like I said, it's hard to see on that side, like
Yeah.
where the property line starts or anything, you know.
property line is about 2 foot, I think they told us, from their house towards ours.
Okay.
south.
All right, well.
And to
I-
protect our other neighbor, we did want to make sure that we were gonna put a hard wall there, so there won't be any, I guess I don't know the terminology for it, but there won't be loose
Material,
mate-
loose dirt.
material going towards the one neighbor.
Okay.
To the south, to Tony.
Yeah. But I kinda noticed on that side that he's kinda sloped, it must be because the water was coming over there or something.
I'm sure it is.
It was pretty easy to see it, I mean, I got out of the car, and it's kinda, you know, going towards your garage, you know, a little bit, which, if it was me, I would've did the same thing, I mean, I don't want all that water in my yard if it, you know, comes off of your garage.
Right.
So that's the reason why I'd want to make sure that there's gutters there.
Yeah.
So it can get it out to the alley part or whatever, you know, because, okay, I guess that's about all I really have. I mean, did any other commissioners go? I mean, I went and
I don't.
I don't see a problem with building the garage. I just want to make sure that everybody's in, you know, agreement of what is going on there type of situation, you know, one neighbor, one side. Like I said, the other side, I didn't talk to that neighbor, I talked to him a little bit, but not much, you know. So anyhow, and he says you're good neighbors, Tony. He didn't say that you were bad neighbors or anything, you know, so, that's all I have. So.
I just got, what size is your existing garage now?
It's 19 by 20.
So you'd be 3 foot wider and 4 feet longer, roughly. Okay. It looked like it was a small two-stall
It
already,
very,
that's
yeah,
why
it's very small.
Okay.
There's no way to get a full-size vehicle inside.
Yeah, you're not a whole lot bigger, but you're gonna be a little bigger, so that's all.
And what about the height? Do you have a big truck or something? Is the height gonna be,
Height, we're gonna go, I believe it was 8 foot, just in case I need to get my truck inside.
yeah,
8-foot walls?
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, standard. Okay.
I just thought maybe if you had a bigger truck or something.
Taken. You said that this garage is sitting a little bit lower than the alley. Were you gonna try to raise this one up at all? And
Yes.
so how much?
I believe it was, I don't remember what the dimensions were,
We were gonna get as close as possible to the alley level.
Okay,
and a little bit higher, just so we get that, a little bit of it's not much.
like 6 inches or something like that?
Yeah.
Really,
Okay,
maybe about
all right. That's all I had for questions. You guys mind sitting down for a little bit? We might have more questions for you.
Sure.
Okay. Is there anybody else that wants to speak for or against this? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Anthony Polari, 2519 6th Avenue East. I'm on the south side of these guys. So I didn't think there was an issue, but they asked for 2 feet further towards me. Is that what it was? Feet?
No,
away from you. No,
So it's not gonna come anymore towards?
no.
Feet south. I'm on the south side. Fence is here, the garage is here, so 2 feet south is that.
Fence?
On the garage. Oh, you're going the other, north.
Going north, right?
You're not gonna go in here. Where the garage is now, you're not gonna go in closer. That's all I wanted.
Okay. All right. Any other concerns you may have, Tony, or not?
Just the alley is very narrow, you know, we don't have an outlet to 25th, so it comes to a T.
Right,
Hope they know that there's a lot of people driving on each other's lawns now. Listening to neighbors, grass is getting driven on, guilty is charged, pulling in my small garage. They're gonna get a wider garage, so probably not over. There's still a pretty tight turns. Coming close to the alley, that difficult to get in there. You have a double wide garage. Just one. And the gutters, I thought about that on the way here. Probably. Nice.
okay.
Thank you.
That was another question. One of the two could come up. You don't need both of you up there. Well, of course, the wife's gonna come up. The garage is gonna start like where you have it right now then too? I mean, you're not gonna go in closer to the alley, right?
No,
Yeah,
no.
so it's like, yeah, that would be important that you didn't like what he was saying because of the type, because I know you got that building in the back there, like if you got a big truck, I think for you guys, it must be hard to get out in the winter time.
That's why we agree, that's why we're not doing a 2-stall garage, we're just gonna do an oversized one, so we do have more ability to get in and out
Yeah,
safer
yeah,
and
'cause
without.
that's tight back there, cause that,
Yeah.
like I said, it's right in back of your garage right now, so I just wanna make sure you're not coming more towards the alley if you
No,
go,
the wall of the existing garage right now is where the new garage. will
gonna
start.
start and go back, okay. That helps, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody else in the audience to speak for or against. Any commissioners have any other questions, comments? If we go to the finding of the facts, if I recall.
Yep.
Should be the last page. Finding of the facts guide sheet for Board of Adjustments, verifies requested variance for permit use, conditional use, and interim subject property zoning district. Let's see. Start with first section, where?
Right there,
Is this in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinances? I
I'd
would
say
say yes.
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 Consistent with the comprehensive plan. Gave us pretty good plans and stuff
Right.
like that. That'd be a yes. property owner proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the zoning ordinance. Board agrees with the applicant evident terms of.
Yes, because of the size of the lot.
Yep.
Yep.
Definitely. The plight of the landlord is due to the circumstances unique to the property, not created by the landowner.
Oh,
And that's a yes.
It being a tight alley.
Yep. Tight alley, tight lot widths. Or the variance is granted will not alter any essence characters of the locality.
It's a-
And that'd be a yes.
Making it
Just
better.
a little bit bigger.
Just a little bit longer and wider. I would make a motion to approve
Hold on a second.
With your.
with the gutters.
With the conditions, the gutters.
With the condition of
With
the
the
gutters. Okay.
I don't, do you put that as a condition? That we
Yes.
want, I want the gutters on there, to make sure,
Correct.
okay?
I'll second that then,
They would be
with the
directed,
gutters.
With gutters directed towards the alley, you wanted to
Towards
say?
the alley,
Towards
right,
the alley,
yes.
correct.
So we have motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
and this does not have to go to the city council.
The final.
We're the final say here. Usually we're not.
Yep.
Okay. Open discussion. You guys got anything? I have one thing possibly.
Well, I mean, I live in town, you know, so, I mean, I hear a lot about the blight, you know? And I called the officer, and she's very nice, and she does do her job, I will say that. But I just think I think they're overwhelmed. I remember we had talked about, we thought the city council should add more hours to them, or give them some more help, or do whatever. And I don't know, maybe, with the city administrator here, I mean, maybe we should come up with a document saying that as a board, we would like to see them, you know, when you have a dog catcher or a dog, you know, or they take care of the animal shelter, they're taking care of blight, and they're taking care of law enforcement, you know, and it's parking enforcement. That's 3 jobs for those girls that what? Krasinski, do they work 20 hours a week? Is that what they work each?
So currently, I think we have one individual in that role. I think that individual is part-time. I don't know if it's 20 hours a week. It's probably around 20, 30 hours a week. So that probably answers your question. Did you have anything additional, Commissioner, that you wanted to add to that question?
Well, what I'm asking is that, you know, you have one person doing 3 jobs that we used to have in this, and I've lived in this town my whole life. We used to have somebody with the animal, take care of the animals. We used to have somebody with parking. We used to have, you know, Pat was doing the blight, you know. So now you got one person, or, and you're supposed to be 2, because I remember when they came to us that time, they said they both got to work 20 hours a week. You know,
So-
now maybe with one, maybe raised it, you
The
know,
challenge we're having, of course, is finding people that
finding people to do it. I'm
want
sure.
to do the work. So that's one of the challenges. In addition to that, I mean, we've got the budget to do that, to hire somebody to do the work, multiple people to do the work. So we had a couple people that moved on to other opportunities. We had at least one person that was career tracking to become a law enforcement officer, which we hired internally as an officer. So even though those positions are difficult to fill and we turn them over quite often, we have a plan as far as how they successfully get promoted into the organization. That's a long way of saying we agree. We're trying to address blight here, and it's not just one single strategy, you know, just let's knock down homes, but remember we're sponsoring a two-day event in the spring, which is citywide cleanup. We do have a budget where we've been demolishing old buildings. Trying to think of what else we've got going on. Well, we've got PBAs that are trying to address the blight proactively. So we've got a couple of different things. The biggest problem is we've not addressed it in the past, so trying to get caught up is the challenge.
I totally understand that situation. I mean, you know, you're not gonna get it done in a year or whatever. I mean, it's gonna take some years. But,
So if,
you know, I understand, I just think, you know, if we're gonna do this job to make it look like we're really working at it, myself, I feel that, you know, obviously the police officers, they got enough going on. I mean, they're maxed, you know? I mean, I don't expect, you know, police officers, you know, I don't think that should be part of their job, the blight and the, you know, I think that we should have somebody, because like I said, I've lived here my life and we've had 3 people doing it and they were full-time employees. Now you're not doing it, that's fine. But I think it has to be addressed in maybe a different way that it's not being addressed. And, you know, if you don't, obviously you don't want them to be full-time city employees, which I can understand that with everything that goes on. But maybe we have to get, maybe, if you, and like you said, I'm not blaming you, because I understand about, you know, people move on. I got a job for 20 hours, I'm gonna go find a job for 40 hours. I'm gonna go get a job for 35 or whatever type of hours, you know, that type of situation. It just seems that you hear anything bad about what goes on here, blight always gets brought up first.
that's one of our top challenges, I agree. I just want to make sure that it's clear to our viewers, we do have internal assets that are working on blight in this community.
Okay?
I mean, so I don't want people to walk away thinking that we're not addressing it, because we are. The other thing, and you already mentioned it, Commissioner, we haven't necessarily tasked our police officers with that overall strategy and addressing blight, but they too are a component of it. I mean, they can take those calls in
Sure.
and get them to where they need to go. And then the third thing is, we do have somebody internally that does that work. But because, again, we're so far behind, it's a lot to try to get caught up. So I guess the last thing I'd leave you with is I would reiterate that we are working on hiring additional people to do the work.
Greg, just a question for you on with the blight officers. Would it be easier to have them maybe answer, or who oversees them as a org through planning and zoning? Because a lot of the zoning questions we get blight sometimes. You know, it's kind of hard to tell somebody that they have a problem with a bunch of garbage there, but it's actually a commercial area, and they're putting scrap metal there or something like that, trying to get them to put fences and stuff. That's why we get some of the blight questions with that. So it's just more of a organizational chart to see where we fall in with that, try to help. We alleviate some of the load off someone else, maybe throw it this way, a little more possibility.
So I think the question is, what's the planning commission's role in addressing the blight? Maybe I would ask you all what you see your role as, and then maybe I would kick it back to Pat for that response.
I'm not saying we want to be blight officers.
No,
that's for
but
sure.
just overseeing them or something, or at least see a report or something of some sort, what I was kind of getting at. So, and if that's topic is done, I got a thing I want to bring up, the Cod Cook Coalition for the park. We got to look at rezoning that property, so it's an actual park versus being R1 residential.
So that'd be a city council question.
City council.
That'd be a city council
So
decision.
city council has to make the recommendation to come back to us.
I don't know what the pathway is there, do you, Pat?
No.
They can just change it, right? To a park.
Do we even have a actual park classification in our zoning right now?
No.
That's So I'm thinking we don't, as far as I know, we don't actually have a separate classification.
Not in our
Not in our
Our
zone.
zone, our chapters.
What, the city council does then?
They may, as far as park, they own those parks and they have to take care of them,
They maintain it, right?
and that's
Yeah.
the park department. Back to blight a little bit, you have to understand all the steps. Never, ever gonna get caught up. So you could just take one, that person by law, they have to be notified, private property. So that's notification is by a letter or a ticket. And then they have so many days to clean it up. If the owner cleans it up and it's looked at again, it's completed. If they don't, then it goes to a citation and the city has the right to clean it up. Well, how do you clean it up? You need people. We have public works.
Public Works, right.
To get that set up, to go clean it up, may take 2 to 3, 4 weeks, a month, just to clean up that one.
Because you've got to take them from another job that Public
Right.
Works is doing.
I totally understand that situation, but
Then,
When-
but
can I-
you also have 10 more come in during that time, the same
Right.
process is going on continuously.
speaking of that now, there was a situation where it did get taken care of, okay? And then after somebody came and looked at it and said it was fine, go back there now, because I did go back there, because I know what it is.
Oh, they've had multiples that they've had to go and clean up more than once.
Yeah, so then you go through that whole process all over again?
Exactly. You give
Correct.
them the second
The
chance
legal
again.
The
process.
legal process,
I mean,
it
to
gets
go on
cleaned up,
somebody's
and then they
property.
just kind of bring it all back a little at a time, and then next thing, then you gotta go through that again. So, I mean, that could go on forever,
Legally, that's what you have to do, though.
okay?
And so.
I mean, I didn't understand it, because I thought, well, once you get a citation on something, it's cleaned up, you gotta keep it cleaned up.
It's
but
not a
obviously,
criminal offense.
Huh?
It's not a criminal
Yeah, well,
offense. So, but a lot of them are cleaned up and they don't, you don't see those, you don't hear about them. They stay clean. It was something that got out of hand, but
Right.
The big bad ones that don't get cleaned up or don't stay cleaned up, those are the ones that are front and center, not all the ones that get cleaned up that get
Yeah, I
taken
know
care of.
that, but what I'm saying is, I know that one that was supposed to have been cleaned up, and it was for a while, and now it's back to the same situation of what it was.
I think they have a handful,
Yeah.
three to five that are like that they've
Okay.
done.
And
I
adding
mean, no, I
more-
basically understand, I thought, well, once you had a citation, I mean, you know that, that's the highest step you can do then, is give them the citation and make sure it gets cleaned up, and then they go back to the same situation. Kinda like going around like a yo-yo, I mean, it doesn't work out. So, okay, I understand a little more now.
And if I'm correct, even a citation, you pay the $7,500 citation. Doesn't mean you're done, you get
Yeah.
another one. I really don't know how many before then the city, PBA can direct the city to clean it up, or a private contract.
Sure.
And that cleanup process involves the PBA, police, actual police officer there, and then either private contractor or they work in conjunction with Public Works. So it's a big process to get the actual cleanup that the owner didn't do. And adding more PBAs wouldn't solve those steps. You would just have more of them, but we don't have more workers to actually do the
Yeah,
cleanup.
I'm sure it's a tough thing, I mean, there's no question about it, but it just seems like if you get the maybe if the citation was $500 or something, then they would think maybe twice, but for $75, $100, I'll give that $75 and big deal, But if that citation was higher in price, maybe they'd think twice about it, That's my, I
But
would.
they could get a citation the next day. If I'm parked in an illegal parking spot, I get a parking ticket that
Sure.
night. I'll get one the next day, as long as I'm parked there. So I think they can get, the citation one after another, and then it becomes
who makes the pricing on a citation? Is that the city that does that?
City council did. We
City
have-
council?
Yeah.
Maybe the city council should think about maybe raising that to something.
And that's an
I'd say,
idea.
you know, so, I mean, a lot of those people can't afford to pay it, but maybe they would think twice about bringing things back if it was $300, $400, $500, you know? If I got $500 down on my pocket, I'm gonna make sure it's not gonna come out the second time.
Right.
I mean, that's what I would look at it, but,
There might be a max, I don't know what it is, you know.
Yeah, there might be something by statute that there's a maximum that they can charge to, I don't know.
I mean, I was just thinking about us, you know, I want the city council to know that we're behind them on FARC, what's going on, and we'd like to know how it's being handled a little bit more. Because I remember, I asked to have those blight officers come that time, remember, I'm the one that said, let's get them up here so we can meet them, and they gave us their cards, remember that time? And I called that girl on something, and she did come, they did, there's no question about it, she came, I'm not gonna say she did it, you know, so, I don't know, I mean, yeah, you're right, but like with Mr. Brzezinski, I mean, we're here to do planning and zoning, you know, but it's, but when you think you're planning zoning, people think, well, then you can help me with this blight thing, well, I can't help you with this blight thing, I tell you gotta call this number, I gave the girl's number.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different entity, but, you know, they kinda think that it's not, you know, so,
Yep.
that's all I have to say.
Anything else? Looking for a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.